Listen, folks, we are in the best time of the year. We have football every day. Coming off two Monday night games, boom, we get more football every single day this week. Shout out to college football and shout out to making money off college football. Coming off a great week, we're excited to hit even more bets with a college football week 8 best bets. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of the D-Gen Docs here on the DFSG Plus channel. What is up, folks? Another week in college football, and not just a week that starts on Saturday. We've got Tuesday, we've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday college football. So hope you're as jacked as we are. What is up, folks? I'm one of your hosts here, the D-Gen Doc, and more importantly, I am joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
We're doing amazing, my guy. I mean, Saturday, betting wise, it was a so-so day.
Right.
But the Buckeyes won.
You're riding high.
Michigan lost. And
Yes.
Penn State lost again. Holy smokes, dude. I was living it. I was living
As
the
a
big life.
fan, yes, it's been a fun
It's
year
great.
for you and your Buckeyes. And yeah, Penn State, to hating Penn State, it's a good year to hate Penn State. We will get into Penn State and a ton more. But first off, of course, as always, I want to say welcome to all of you guys. What is up? We're having a great year on the college football slate. You guys are rocking it. We're giving out winners, and you guys are reciprocating. But as we always ask, hey, drop a like, subscribe if you like what you've been hearing, because this is the college football week 8 locks. If this is your first time joining us, well, cheers to you. We appreciate you hopping in, joining the fam. We hope you stick around. This is the way this is going to go down. We are doing our college football 6-pack. Yes, when you think college and 6-packs, you think beer, but we're talking a little bit different here. We're talking our 6 best games against the spread, over, under. You know, what are the best values in the betting markets that we see from this week 8 slate? Then we're going to go ahead and finish with a best bet section with a lock, moneyline dog, a parlay, and a teaser. All plays are assumed to be 1 unit, except the lock, which is 2 units. Before we get to our plays, we're going to talk a couple takeaways. We've got some coaching news to get to, and then adjust some power rankings. And then we're going to get into those 6 games this week, which is going to be an absolute banger of a slate. If you have not looked at it, get ready to get jacked, because we got a ton. One of the hardest parts wasn't even picking the game this week. It was like, what 6 games are we going to put in there? Because there's so
100%.
many good games on the slate. But yes, coaching news. Trent Bay from Oregon State, fired. Trent Dilfer from UAB, fired. Bad week to be a Trent. And of course, James Franklin, Penn State Nittany Lions, is fired. Now, with all those coaching firings, I'm asking myself, why is Billy Napier not fired if James Franklin just took his team to the Final Four in the
He
college
just
football
got a big
playoff?
win last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess.
But that's just me as a Gators fan. I mean, Florida, if Penn State can do it coming off college football playoff, you can do it after year 4 of misery. But I will not get on my soapbox, because we are here to laugh about Penn State and break down one thing in particular. I think that our goal in life should be to be a head football coach of a premier college football program, and then just absolutely lay a stinker and do whatever you can to secure this buyout. Because James Franklin just took a $50 million buyout that breaks down to this for
It's
what
crazy.
he would be paid until 2031. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I don't know who is going to hire us, but I think we could split a contract here and make, around $450 a piece per hour over the next 5 or 6 years. That'd be pretty nice, just to hang back in a lawn chair, head down to the Caribbean, get us a fancy cocktail and just live the good life. But no, I don't know if this is 100% true. I'm not the best journalist, but I was reading something earlier today that Penn State's, the way that they worded his contract was basically, if the buyout, if the firing ever were to come, they would only have to pay the difference of his salary moving forward. So if James Franklin were to get another job, whether it's coaching, commentating, whatever,
Right.
maybe it basically breaks down to $8 million a year over the next 5-6 years. Uh, so if he gets a commentating job for $4 million a year, they would only have to pay the additional four rather than the whole eight. But like I said, I'm a true journalist. I don't know how true that is, but that's good on Penn State's part to kind of work that and weasel that way into his contract.
Yeah, no, look, that's you being the logical, rational one there, because that is nice. They built themselves a little exit strategy. Uh,
Well, I mean,
you gotta imagine he's gonna probably coach. I mean, he's gonna
with
be someone
yeah,
sought after in the coaching
yeah,
market.
I mean he's 52, 53 years old still. He's still one of the best football coaches
Right,
across the country. He
he's
just
a good
can't
coach.
figure out how to beat Michigan or Ohio State
Can't get over the
or
hump, but he
Oregon.
is a damn good coach. I mean, a lot of programs would take what he's had to offer past couple of years. But just think about it.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, Penn State was number three team in the country. They were everyone's
At
favorite darling, not
110,000.
ours, but they were
Yep.
bringing in an Oregon team. They were favored against Oregon. They
Yep.
rallied all the way back. Looked like they had all the momentum in the world. We're gonna go win that game and be potentially the number one team in the country.
Right.
And boom, three straight losses later. Life comes at you fast. And also, Drew Aller, star quarterback, out for the season with an injury. So
Yeah.
misery loves company over there in Happy Valley. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's maybe that's enough picking on Penn State for now. But who knows? Maybe they'll impress us with their terribleness next week. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But hey, look, you were talking about it last week. I tried to tell you guys. I tried to tell my co-host. I tried to go on here. I was pounding the table,
Yeah.
literally and
Yeah. Yeah.
figuratively, for the Pitt Panthers plus 330 on the money line. Man, what a fun game. I was in the city of Pittsburgh this week, back at some of the local college bars, and that was a fun one, to say the least, to get the morning started drinking there. And hey, look, hit the lock in Iowa. Easy,
Yep.
easy win, 37 to
What a big
0.
one.
Hit the dog as Pitt and hit my teaser there. So coming off a solid week, but hey, we're looking to make it even better this week and hope we sweep the board here. Let's
Right.
talk some of those week 7 takeaways, kind of what we like to do, big picture stuff.
Yeah.
I'll throw something out there. I think this week really showed something that is kind of tried and true between what we always say. Real teams, like a real good team in college football,
Yep.
wins on the road. And I
Oh yeah.
think we
100%.
saw that with a number of teams this week. Your Buckeyes looked really good.
Yep.
Indiana Hoosiers are apparently the best team in America, going out to Oregon and winning by 10 there.
Yeah.
Bama,
Wasn't
Georgia,
even close.
BYU. What's your take on some of these teams that you always talk about? Teams are clearly separating. I think that was a key piece for a lot of
Yeah.
these teams that potentially could be national championship contenders.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think what we've come to know over the last couple of years is that good teams take care of the teams that they're supposed to. Those cupcake teams or teams that are lower in the Power Four conferences. Those upper echelon teams beat bad teams, and they also went on the road.
Yeah,
And I think this past week we really saw that take place. I mean, OSU going into Illinois never was a game. Indiana absolutely whooped on Oregon. In my opinion, Oregon couldn't get anything going all day. Even Georgia going down to Auburn and getting a
quality
pretty
win.
good win down there. It's a quality um,
Yeah,
you're yeah, I mean, just all over the place. There were teams that we thought were pretty good, and then they went on the road and handled their business.
yeah. The only one other one, Bama going to Mizzou, handing them their first loss. I think that was a
Yeah,
solid win. Bama need to show. I know they beat
yeah,
Georgia, but after losing FSU week 1, you have to show you can win on the road to
100%.
Bauer, and he got it done. So shout out to
Yeah,
them. And
and
then the
and
only thing,
and then those other teams that we thought were like they were pretty good that
yeah,
struggled, like Michigan going out to USC. That was not a contest. I mean, getting
they got beat down. I was
absolutely
wrong. I
crushed
was wrong. You were
in the
right on that.
Coliseum. Yeah, I mean, between them, who else lost this week? I don't know. That was probably the big one. That it was like Michigan. We thought was starting to hit their stride, and then they go
Right.
out and lay an egg in LA.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And yeah.
You know,
Oklahoma, if you want to
I
call it a
mean,
road.
in the rivalry game,
Yeah.
it's a neutral site game, but it's still in Texas.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but
Yeah, you can call it a de facto, I know they split it down the middle 50-50, but it's not at home, right? It's not in
right,
Norman. So, yeah, absolutely. And then, shout out to college football for being just really smart because they know what people want. They know coming off the NFL, doubleheader Monday night, two pretty solid games. Hey, we're jacked for football. And then we got these Tuesday blues where I'm like, oh, I got to wait 2 days. No, you
right,
don't because there's
nope,
college football every single day for 49 days straight. And honestly, great marketing because teams like New Mexico State, Arkansas State, Delaware, Sam Houston, Tulsa, like
Tulsa.
there's a good shot. I'm not watching most of these games on a regular basis, but you
Yeah,
damn sure I'm going to watch some of these teams now when they're giving me Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday
right,
night action to bet on. So
yep,
I just think that's super smart, especially these small schools.
no
Yeah,
doubt.
adjust your calendar, get some national spotlight. So
Yeah,
shout out to college football for that.
yeah, no doubt.
All right, let's head to our power rankings. Every single week, we say, all right, there's some performances that were so good, we got to adjust some teams up. And then in the vice versa, really disappointing losses and performances that really kind of have us bumped down. Usually, talking more our top, contenders, teams that have a shot at the college football playoff, typically
Yep.
sticking to those. So why don't you start us off here with the three teams this week that impressed you enough to move up in your power rankings?
Yeah, I've already talked about a couple of them. I mean, Indiana going on the road and really handling Oregon the way that they did was super impressive. I mean, Oregon's
Yeah.
not an easy place to play. They're a solid team, and Indiana. I don't think there's a 5-star kid on that entire roster.
Mm-mm.
Uh, they crushed Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it was a 10-point game, but Oregon couldn't get anything going the entire time. And
Yeah.
then USC in the night game against Michigan, they
That was
they
impressive.
whooped on the Wolverines a little bit, 31-13. I mean,
Yeah.
you mentioned last week that yes, defense in a running game usually travels. It didn't in the case of Michigan. I don't know if it's Sharon Moore, if it was necessarily, the rookie or freshman quarterback
Yeah. Underwood there.
there,
Yeah.
Underwood, but man, they couldn't get much going against that USC defense that historically has been pretty soft, you
Yeah.
know.
Definitely middle.
And then Notre Dame, they're starting to climb back up there a little bit. NC
Yeah.
State is an okay team, and they whooped them 36-7. So Notre Dame's starting to climb up a little bit, back towards where we expected them to be going into this season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll kind of jump right into mine's piggybacking off of your Indiana there. Indiana, I think they're like behind Boston College. They're like 70 something in recruiting rankings. So it
Right,
just kind of goes to show you like not
the
always
transfer
about the
portal.
stars, right?
Yeah,
Exactly. Transfer portal. Well, a bunch of them are some JMU kids, and then bringing over the kid
right.
from Cal, Mendoza. Not the most highly recruited, but
No,
guys that fit Signetti system. And man,
systems incredible.
yeah, Kurt Nagy, he's awesome.
Yeah,
Like he's just a really fresh breath of fresh air. Excuse me.
yeah,
He seems just super passionate. He's an old school type of coach there.
yep.
So good for Indiana. This is
It'll be
probably
interesting to see if he ends up how long if he stays at
yeah,
Indiana.
right.
Will
Like
he go to a Penn State? If Napier gets fired, will he go to a Florida?
right. I mean, I think, as a Florida fan, I'd be very happy to have him. But, he talks about building this culture and, will he stay? Will he go? I mean,
Right.
Indiana, I guess, he's bringing them up. I'm sure with the basketball, I'm sure they have plenty of money. So
Sure.
it is interesting to see if he's going to stick it out and how long, because he's definitely going to be a hot name on a lot of big programs that are looking for
Oh yeah.
coaches.
Oh yeah.
Alabama, like I spoke about, going on the road, I know they beat Georgia, but I'm not completely sold on this Georgia team yet. And then Mizzou, I wasn't sold on either. We were both on Bama.
Yeah.
Mizzou scored late to kind of I'm not gonna say dress it up. I think it was always a game, but Bama went up
Yeah.
by 10 and they scored late. Kind of went back and forth through the
Right.
interception there. But that was a good, solid win, right? This is an
Yep.
undefeated Mizzou team that had some things going on the ground, and they really kind of bowed up a little bit there. And then USF, as much as it pains me what they did to my Gators and having family that's been there and grown up in that area,
Right.
they look really good. I mean, to go on the road to a North Texas team that a lot of people were picking to get in the college football playoff in that group of 5 spot, and just
Yeah.
to beat the heck out of them, right? And
Yep.
not even really make it close. I think they beat them by 30 or something at their place. I think
Yep.
that squarely puts them at the driver's seat to kind of go ahead and get in. I think I looked today. I think they're around 3-1 to make the college football
Mhm.
playoff. And between them, Memphis, Navy, I think that USF actually, I think they have the best shot to make it. So I took a little bit of them at 3-1 to go ahead and make the CFP. But that's going to be an interesting race in itself. Those group of 5 teams as
No
it comes
doubt.
down to it. All right, let's go the other direction. What were your 3 teams that disappointed you to the point you are dropping them down in your power rankings?
Yeah, I mean, you got to throw Oklahoma out there in the fashion that they lost to Texas. Now,
Right?
I think to our point, John Mateer wasn't ready
Should have
to
played.
come back against that
Nope.
Texas defense. I mean, he threw 3 picks, and that was really the big difference in the game.
Yep.
Because I mean, Arch looked better, I will say, but he didn't have any, you know,
Managed
great
the game.
plays.
Right.
Yeah, he managed the game. I think he was like 21 of 28 or something like that. And you know, Oklahoma's defense is for real, but without a healthy John Mateer, like that offense was not going. And I
Yeah.
don't know if there was ever a thought to go back to, I can't remember who the other,
Hawkins, Michael Hawkins.
Hawkins. There
Yeah.
you go. But after you throw 2, 3 interceptions, you got to start thinking that way because
Right.
he did not look good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oklahoma is dropping down on for me. Obviously, Oregon after getting really beaten down at home against an Indiana squad, and then
Yeah.
Iowa State. I thought Iowa State was starting to make the climb back up a little bit. They lost the week before,
Yeah.
um, and Colorado kind of put it to them there. So yeah, Oklahoma, Oregon, and Iowa State are continuing to on the decline for me.
Yeah, no, I mean Iowa State, man, damn, they were looking so good. They were going to be my dark horse a little bit. Still need to
Yeah.
get it the fuck together, Matt Campbell, because I'm still on that over 7.5 that I thought was, they're 5-0. It looked like it was in the bag. Now I need them to kind of get back on the horse. Still
Right.
got plenty of time there, but yeah, field storming twice. At Cincinnati, at Colorado, there blew some opportunities.
Yep.
Cincinnati, I think, is a better team. Colorado, that's not a great loss, but. Let's see if they can get back on the horse a little bit. Looks like
Yep.
Texas Tech's to run away with right now. And then you have
BYU's hanging out there. We'll see what
BYU.
happens this week.
We've got a huge game to talk about in a little bit there. And then yeah, Oregon. Oregon's a team that how good are they? Because their biggest win was Penn State, who we've now seen, not that great, right? So
Right.
it's going to be interesting to see. And then Oklahoma, I'm right there with you. We were on here last week saying, look, the original timeline was a month. They brought him
Right.
back in 2.5 weeks. We hope that someone is on his side from a medical perspective to say,
Yep.
one, there's further injury risk. And then two, if you're going to go out there and play in a huge game, you're putting your reputation on the line. Now, when draft evaluators look at this or when the college football playoff committee, like people are going to look at this and see you laid an egg against Texas. Clearly, he was not ready. But
No.
that's a risk that some teams are willing to take.
Yep.
Obviously, hindsight's 2020. But yeah, that's a bad situation for him in Oklahoma. I mean, look, thanks for cashing my under, but we knew the defenses were good on either side, but you can't turn the ball over
Right.
3 times and expect to win the game. Then I am going to go ahead and go Michigan, which you kind of talked about USC there on the other end of this.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, it wasn't even a game. It was not
No.
competitive, right?
No.
Right now, Bryce Underwood is
I knew that they were a pretty shitty team, so I couldn't throw them on there.
right, yeah. But look, Bryce Underwood, he needs to prove he can win on the road. I know he won at Nebraska, but to lose at Oklahoma and then get beat down, really the Oklahoma and the USC game really weren't competitive, right? And we'll
Right.
talk about a reason why that might have been as well as we get later in the game or to that game there. But then Florida State. Florida State. I told you guys these guys were fraud mercenaries who are quitting on the team. Thomas Castellanos on his third team in 4 years. Mike Norvell on his birthday getting his ass kicked by a true freshman, Mason Heinshell, the real deal, baby. Yeah, Florida State, not good. They had all offseason to prepare for an Alabama team that didn't take them seriously. And now it has been over a year, 387 calendar days that Florida State has won an ACC conference game. So as bad as Florida has been so far, at least Florida State sucks. So that is a good misery does enjoy company on that one. All right, folks, it is time. It is time for our college football week 8 best bets and picks. Here it is our locks show, and that's what we're gonna do. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We are starting off with a Friday night game. We again, this was a tough slate to choose, but got to give you at least one weekday game, and it is going to be the 5-1 number 25 Nebraska Cornhuskers traveling all the way to Minneapolis, Minnesota to take on those 4-2 Golden Gophers there at Hunting Bank Stadium. This is going to be 68 degrees and cloudy,
Yep.
thunderstorms in the afternoon. So we'll see how this place is rocking. Nebraska is laying 8.5 on the road, minus 310 on the money line. Minnesota catching 8.5 plus 250 as home dogs. Over under sitting at 46.5. This is a big game in the Big Ten. If Nebraska wants to show their real, they need to start stacking some wins. Where are you going in this one in Minneapolis?
Yeah, I think that, with the short week playing on a Friday night in Minnesota, I think I got to take the Golden Gophers in this one. I think it's just one of those things where, as a whole, I don't know if either of these teams really have a signature win. I mean, Nebraska's coming off a pretty good win against a tough Maryland team on
Right.
the road. But as a whole, I mean, Nebraska should beat Michigan State. They should beat our who is this? Houston
Akron.
Christian. Thank you.
Oh,
Akron. Yeah. I mean, as a whole, I mean, Minnesota got the brakes blown off against Ohio State. Other than that, they've played pretty well, except for on the road at Cal, which we know how that travel schedule can throw some teams off. But
right.
I think that the Minnesota Golden Gophers are in a pretty good spot here on a short week.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna back the Friday night home dog. 8.5 points I think is way too much. I don't think this Nebraska team is all that good. They got a solid win at Cincinnati. Not really a road game, right? They played that
Yeah.
in the Chiefs Stadium in Arrowhead, where it was a
Yep.
mostly Nebraska crowd. So
Yep.
I don't know why Cincinnati forfeited a home game, but they did.
Yep.
It's a good win, but I think there's an asterisk there. And
Right.
it's a back-to-back road spot for Nebraska. I
Yep.
think we saw what happened when they kind of underestimated their competition at Maryland. They were
Yep.
down in that game. That was a fight to the end where they was a barely eked out a 3-point win. I think
Yep.
going back to back, it's going to be a hostile environment there in Minneapolis. And yeah, I really like Minnesota here, and I think they're a live dog. They're 4-0 at home
Yep.
at this point, and I don't think I can trust Dylan Raiola.
I was just
He's a
going to say the
quarterback.
same thing.
Yeah, and I think when you're talking about a decent spread here, and two teams that are fairly even matched, turnovers are going to play a huge part in the game.
Yeah.
Raiola, since the last 3 games where they've actually been playing competition with the pulse, as in Michigan, Michigan State, and Maryland, he's thrown an
Yeah.
interception in every single game, and he had 3 interceptions just last week. There, I think that Nebraska is going to get into trouble with some of those picks, and I think Minnesota is going to be able to hang on and definitely keep it close, if not pull one out at home. I
Yep.
think Nebraska is one of those teams that record is a bit fraudulent, kind of like Florida State last week. They're at that number 25 spot because I guess we got to put them in there. I'm still not convinced they're a good team. So
Yep.
I will be backing Minnesota with you. Give us the home dog, Minnesota +8 on Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, October 17th. All right, we are now moving over to the Saturday slate, where we are talking a huge game in the SEC,
Huge.
massive matchup there in the South. We've got Saturday, October 18th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, the 5-1 number 10 team in all the land, the LSU Tigers, are
Yep.
taking on the 5-1 number 17 team. Surprise to some, Vanderbilt Commodores there. Look, Vanderbilt has played 77 games for its top 10 teams since 1978. And we got a record on this time because this is the first time in 40 some odd years that Vanderbilt is favored in this matchup. You have
Wow.
the Vanderbilt Commodores laying 2.5, minus 130 as the home favorite, and the
Yeah.
LSU Tigers catching 2.5, plus 110 on the money line, over under sitting at 48.5. This is at First Bank Stadium there in Nashville, Tennessee. 78, partly cloudy. Weather should not be a factor. Where are you going in this huge SEC matchup?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it already a few times on this show. I mean, it's hard to win on the road, and LSU's offense has struggled pretty much all year against anybody with a competent defense, and Vanderbilt's defense is pretty damn good, and their offense
Yeah.
is probably even better. So yeah, LSU got a win last week against South Carolina. South Carolina, I don't think is a very good team. Vanderbilt coming off the bye after a tough loss down there in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, give me the Commodores in this one.
Oh, absolutely. On Saturday, October 18th, the Vanderbilt Commodores will cash my over 5.5 plus 135 future on them on this total because they are taking down this LSU team. Look, talked about the history there. I mean,
Yeah.
this is one of the most experienced, one of the oldest teams in college football.
Yep.
Clark Lee had looked at everyone in the locker room and said, look, we had a tough loss in Tuscaloosa. That was a revenge spot. Bama is, looking like they're one of the best, top 10 teams in the country.
100%.
LSU has not looked like that. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
this team understands everything, all of our goals, SEC championship, college football playoff, everything is still in front of us. Let's go
Yep.
take care of business at home. And like you said, look, common opponent is South Carolina.
Yeah.
LSU just played last week. They beat South Carolina 20 to
20 to
10
10.
at home. Meanwhile, Vanderbilt went into Williams-Brice Stadium and destroyed South Carolina 31 to 7.
Yep.
So I think that, as weird as it sounds, the Vanderbilt Commodores are going to beat the LSU Tigers, and they're going to cover the 2.5 there. Vandy minus 2.5, minus 110 over at Bet365, minus 115 over at DraftKings. If you want to get the
Yep.
better price there. This is a great game though, because this is like, is Vanderbilt for real? We've kind of been more early adopters to the fact that Vanderbilt's actually a decent team, but
Yeah.
I think this is the opportunity for like national media and everybody else to understand like this is a legit team that has a shot at making the college football playoff. They
Oh
are
yeah.
a threat in the SEC. So I think this is where they understand the moment. Diego Pavia not going to let Nashville down. And right now, give me Pavia over Nussmeier this year. So crazy as that sounds, and
Oh
how
yeah.
in the preseason everyone would have been coming for our heads, but that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean Nussmeier struggled all year, and I
Yeah,
think that right now LSU's passing game is what uh
not very good.
48th in the country. The
Yeah,
rush game's even worse. It's 113th in the country. They only rush for 115 yards per game.
yeah.
Vanderbilt's defense is really solid. I mean, they're only giving up 90 yards on a game on the ground, uh, just over 220 yards through the air. And Diego Pavia is a absolute dog.
Yeah,
And Nashville is going to be rocking this
yeah.
Saturday. So yeah, I really think Vandy's in a good spot here.
And to your point there, Vanderbilt scoring 43.2 points per game, where LSU's only averaging 25.8. So in the weirdest way, I don't
Yeah.
think LSU is going to be able to keep up with the pace that the Vanderbilt Commodores
And
are going to be scoring
and
at.
and 70 of those came from a Georgia State appearance there. So
Yes, yes, yes. But hey, look, watch out for those goalposts. I have a feeling they're going to be coming down and into that Tennessee River this weekend. All right, we're moving on to the third game on the slate here. We've got a Big Ten matchup here. Saturday, October 18th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got the 5-1, somehow unranked Washington Huskies
yep.
taking on the 4-2 Michigan Wolverines. You've got Washington. This one's in the big house in Ann Arbor,
Yep.
65 degrees and sunny. Washington catching 6 points there, plus 185 as road dogs. And then Michigan laying 6, minus 225 home favorites. Over under
Yep.
sitting at 50.5 points. Where are you going in this one?
Yeah, this one was a tricky one. Yeah, 6 points is a lot for this Michigan team, in my opinion, to cover. I mean, we just saw them only put up 13 points last week against USC. They only put up 24 to a pretty bad Wisconsin team.
Yeah, really
Um,
bad.
this would have hit against Nebraska and what I would consider their best win of the season. So give me the Washington Huskies on the road to keep this a game. I don't know if they'll necessarily get the outright win in this one, but uh, Desmond Williams is an absolute stud.
Yeah. Oh man, coming off
And
his best game. Yeah.
oh, and I just don't know if we can fully trust Bryce Underwood against a competent team to go out and cover this 6 point spread.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm right there with you. Give me the Washington Huskies plus 6. I will be taking the road dog. I understand it is a far travel spot. I get that. Washington, they did play Rutgers on a Friday last week. They beat the tar out of them. So they got a
Yep.
little bit of extra day of rest there to kind of get ready for this road trip. Talked about Desmond Williams coming
Yep.
off his best game. This is a situation also. The only loss is to your Buckeyes, who clearly proven they're one of, if not the best team in college football right now. This team is 2-0 on the road. And here's the big things. All right, couple. One, early kick, right?
Yep.
12 p.m. Eastern time. So,
Yep.
yes, the big house, Ann Arbor, amazing, amazing college football venue. Definitely recommend if you have not been. However, like all early kicks, it's a little bit harder to get the juices flowing that early in the morning, right? So might be a little bit sleepy. They're like, what the hell is this random Washington team? Who is this team? They're not going to do anything for us.
Right.
Washington also coming off that national championship, a little bit revenge, if any of those guys are still there. And then weather not being a factor, which I think is going to
No.
be big because Michigan's keys to winning this game is how they always win: run the ball and play good defense. Well, here's
Yep.
the problem. Their best player and arguably the best running back in the country in Justice Haynes, he
Yeah.
left the game versus USC. He was hurt. And
Right.
Sherrone Moore said that, oh, he'll be fine. He could have came back in if he wanted to. Why would he not then? It's not like they
Yeah.
were handling that game. They
Right.
lost that game and could to put up 13 points on offense. So if your best offensive player could actually play, you probably
Yep.
would put him in the game. So I don't know if Sherrone Moore is just a terrible coach, which they looked way better with Biff Poggi as opposed to
Yeah.
Sherrone Moore, but that's a different conversation. But when your best running back in Justice Haynes is questionable, now you're going to have to rely on that freshman quarterback in Underwood, who I think in time can be good, but I don't know
Yeah.
about this season. And then
Right.
Washington's rush defense is number 6 in the country. So it's
Yep.
not like you can just throw anybody back there and expect to have success. So if you're telling me that Underwood is going to have to beat a solid team with his arm and cover 6 points, I understand he plays better at home, but give me Washington all day. I like the quarterback situation, and I think that Washington's strength in their rush defense is something that Michigan, is going to want to try to do. So give me the Huskies. I will join you with the plus 6 there.
Okay.
Looks like we're agreeing a lot early on, so
So
we'll
far,
see.
so
We'll
we'll
see.
see if it continues.
Yes. Heading out to game 4, another one. Great slate. Another amazing slate. College football, the parity. Just if you don't love college football, one, I don't know what you're doing watching. Maybe you just like to make money. But man, just sometimes you gotta appreciate how great it is, especially October, best month of the year. All right, we've got top 10 matchup here. The 6-0 Ole Miss Rebels, number 6 team in the country, taking on the Georgia Dogs in between the hedges there in Athens, Georgia at Sanford Stadium. Georgia is 5-1, the number 9 team in the country. Ole
Yep.
Miss catching 7.5 points, plus 220 on the money line as road dogs there. Georgia laying 7.5, plus 100 over on DraftKings, and minus 270 on the money line. Forgot to mention all the initial lines are over on DraftKings to keep it simple, but we'll always try to get you the best price. And then over under sitting at 54.5. It's supposed to be 78 degrees and sunny, So no problems there down south in Athens. Where are you going in this one?
This was another tricky one because last year Ole Miss put it to the Georgia Bulldogs, but I think that Kirby Smart is really harping on the revenge angle in this one. They do have one common opponent, and that was Kentucky. Georgia just beat them a couple weeks ago, 35-14. Ole Miss kind of struggled with them earlier on in the season. Now it's a different quarterback starting for the Rebels at this point, but yeah, I think Georgia coming off of um, their win against Auburn is ready to roll down there in Athens. So yeah, give me the Georgia Bulldogs on a 7.5.
Well, here's our first disagreement of the show.
Mm.
Absolutely not. Give me the Ole Miss Rebels here. I understand that Kirby Smart wants to get revenge. He wanted to do the same thing against Alabama. That didn't work out for him very well. And don't think it's going to work out well here. This Georgia team is not near the level of dominance they have been in the past 4 to 5 years when they went back to back, and it was the worst years of my life as a Florida fan. But look, this defense, particularly, is not the same. They're giving up over 300 yards, and they are particularly susceptible in that secondary in the back end.
Mm.
Ole Miss is a team that averages 500 yards per game and 38 points per game, and they 300 through the air, 200 on the ground. They're a balanced offense, and right now, yes, last week they kind of laid a dud in a clear look ahead spot, but I think that Georgia is extremely fortunate to only have one loss. The game at Tennessee, where Tennessee really blew that and they really should have won. And then Auburn. I don't know if you watched that game, but the officiating was, let's say, questionable at best. If you did not see, Jackson Arnold, who does have a fumbling problem, so that probably doesn't help him.
Yeah.
It was, first, second, third and goal. They were on the inch yard line. They were about to go up 17-0, Auburn was, and it fumbled. I think he kind of crossed the line, but hey, I'm going to say is they were very fortunate to win both those games. I think the luck runs out here. I think Lane Kiffin, he's kind of shown that these big games, he's got something special. I think he's been game planning. That's why they only won against Washington State by 3. They were not thinking about Washington State. They were thinking about Georgia. And just like, hey, I was a little bit fooled early on. They versus Tennessee.
Yep.
Usually Kirby has Heupel's number and takes care of that offense, that kind of foo-foo offense or whatever. They got exposed. And I still don't think this defense is what they've been. And honestly, give me Trinidad Chambliss, the FCS transfer from Ferris State over Gunnar Stockton. I am not, I don't think Gunnar Stockton I don't think he's Carson Beck, and I don't think he's the mailman there. What's his name? Bennett, Stetson Bennett. I don't think he's either of those dudes. I think he's a better runner than thrower, and I think Ole Miss knows that. I really like Ole Miss here. I think getting 7.5. I think we're thinking about the old Georgia here.
Yeah.
This is the
No. This game is in Athens, Georgia. And what I know about an Ole Miss team is they struggle to keep flags in the officials' pockets. They're 125th in the FBS. They give up, or they average almost 75 yards per game.
That's not good.
It's awful,
Don't like that.
awful when it comes to penalty yards. And in Georgia, I think just time of possession wise, they're going to be able to run it down the throat of the Rebels, who have one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. So give me the stable backs and not necessarily Gunnar Stockton in this one. Chambliss hasn't gone to a stadium like they're in Athens. So yeah.
It's true. All right, we'll see. We will see. We will be battling on that one. You are on Georgia. I am taking the Ole Miss Rebels to get it done in Athens. All right, 2 more games on the slate and 2 more amazing, amazing games. 2 back-to-back rivalry games here as we have the 5-1 number 20 team in the country, USC Trojans, coming off a very impressive win against those Wolverines, heading to South Bend, Indiana, to take on the number 13 team in the country, the 4-2 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You've got USC catching 8.5 points on the road, plus 2 60 on the money line. Notre Dame laying 8.5, minus 325 home favorites. Over under sitting at 61.5. This is obviously in Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend there. 65 degrees. Potential storms for this one, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Uh, Fascinating matchup. Another top 25 matchup. Where are you going in this one?
Yeah, give me the Fighting Irish in this one. They're starting to look like the defense that we were expecting. From a Notre Dame team. I mean, they've only given up 7 points in the last 2 weeks to North Carolina State and Boise, which are both decent programs. USC is coming off that massive win at home against Michigan. I just think that they're going to be a little hungover going over to South Bend in this one. So give me the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to cover the spread.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's a big number, but I think everything lines up well for Notre Dame in this spot. And there's a lot of things going against USC. You talked about the travel spot. There's well documented having to travel multiple time zone is not good. Last
Yep.
time USC did that, they lost at Illinois. And you
TJ
had
Carr's looking really good over the last
he's
couple of weeks.
he's looking a stud. Yeah. You had oh gosh, what's the head coach for USC's name? Keep thinking Kiffin, but Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln
So you
Riley.
had Lincoln Riley complaining that they had to travel, even though USC is the reason the Big Ten is a bajillion teams right now.
Yeah.
And they gave up 500 yards and 34 points to Illinois.
Yep.
I don't think this Illinois team is the same caliber of offense. And then we talked about the defense for Notre Dame. Yeah, they're absolutely turning around. They've given up 27 total points in their last 3 games combined
Yep.
against decent opponents. Arkansas, who has an
Yeah.
offense that can go, Boise State, and North Carolina or NC State there. Not world beaters, but
Nope.
decent teams. And when you think about the 2 games that Notre Dame lost, barely, right, by 1 point and by 3 points,
Right.
Miami and Texas A&M. Texas A&M had to win on a fourth down play, kind of like I'm not gonna say it was a Hail Mary, but it was kind of, there was a clear hold that was missed, and it was a good play, but
Sure.
it was not like it was some dominating win. And then Miami, like in Miami, that's a tough game. Texas A&M and Miami might be two of the best 3 teams in college football right now.
Right.
And when we think about, all right, Notre Dame's defense starting to get together, that freshman CJ Carr, and then you talk about the weather. We know Notre Dame has two of the best backs they may have the best backfield in college football.
No
They
doubt.
can run the ball when they need to.
Yep.
USC, the quarterback Jordan Mailata does a lot for that team. If he's got to deal with some weather down there as well as the, road environment that coming from UNLV, I don't think he's ever played in a situation like this.
Yep.
I love Notre Dame here. I know it's a big number, but I think that they roll here in South Bend. So we are both back on the same side, hopefully the right side, with the Fighting Irish laying the 8.5. All right. Last game on the slate here. We've got the Holy War. Huge game in the state of Utah. Huge game. Everyone needs to be watching this game. This is Saturday, October 18th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time kick. So even for the East Coast folks, you should stay up to watch this game because we've got a top 25 matchup, a matchup with a ton of hatred. These
Yeah.
two teams do not like each other. These two fan bases despise each other, and it's great. 5-1, number 23 team in all the land, the Utah Utes, heading over to Provo to take on the 6-0, number 15 team, BYU, the Cougars there. Utah is laying 3.5, minus 108, minus 170 road favorite. BYU catching 3.5, plus 142 home dog. Over under sitting at 49.5. This is
Yep.
over in Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah. 58 degrees, but clear skies, and we are ready for takeoff. Where are you going in this one?
Yeah, I mean, the boys over at Brigham Young just came off of a pretty tough, grueling win, nonetheless. But you just went into double overtime against an Arizona team that I don't think is very good. Utah absolutely whooped Arizona State this past weekend. They do have one common opponent, and that's West Virginia. Utah went to
Morgantown.
Morgantown, thank you, and won 48-14. BYU had West Virginia travel out to Utah and only won 38-24. So I think that the Utes have started to get things rolling. Dylan Dampier is an absolute stud. I think that Utah ends up getting this win and laying the points.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm right there with you. Give me Utah. Now, The only thing that scares me, rivalry game, right?
Oh yeah.
You're laying
Sure.
points as the road team. Like this environment is
Yep.
going to be insane.
It
Provo
is.
is going to be absolutely nuts.
Yep.
However, looking at these two teams, I think Utah is clearly the best team here. Utah, yes, they lost to Texas Tech at home. Devin Day Parent, he was hurt, right? They came out after that
Yep.
he was kind of hurt in that game. Texas Tech also looks like world beaters right now, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna kill them for that. Obviously,
Yep.
BYU, 6-0 or 5-0, whatever, or 6-0. Yep.
Six
Uh,
and 0.
they've been a little bit fortunate these past couple games.
Yes,
That
they have.
game at
A lot of touchdowns.
Colorado in Boulder, that 3-point win that really could have gone either way. And then at Arizona, they needed double overtime and they needed a fumble on third down to get pushed forward. Arizona dropped on it, and somehow one of the big hog mollies from BYU ripped the ball out, and ultimately they got a first down out of it. Like
Yeah.
it took everything for them to beat an Arizona team that I think is inferior to this Utah team. And if we're worrying about covering a number as a favorite, Utah does pretty good job of that. They have an average margin of victory of 35.6 this year. So when Utah wins, they don't just win, they win big. I understand
Yep.
this is going to be an insane, awesome environment there
It'll be a
in
great game.
Provo, but you've got the freshman and Hank Bachmeyer in a huge game here.
Yep.
Give me the veteran in Dampier to kind of ready the ship and make sure the Utes walk out of Provo with a victory there. Give me the Utah -3.5. Typically, not someone who likes to take the favorites in this one, especially the road favorites.
Right.
But Whittingham, he's been there. I think that he's got the quarterback to get this done. And I just don't think BYU. I think they're a bit fraudulent, even though they're 6-0. I think they're getting
Yep.
real lucky in some of these games, and I think that luck runs out this Saturday night. All right, my friend, it is our favorite time because we get to give out our best bets for college football week 8.
Lock dog tease. Let's go.
Let's go. What are you doing with your lock for this week?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame keeps it rolling against USC. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but Notre Dame is starting to look a lot better. And USC coming off that big win, I don't know if they're going to continue their winning ways on the road at Notre Dame.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, obviously, I think Fighting Irish are in a great spot. I think this is a tough situation for USC. They are going to be fat and happy coming off that big win against Michigan.
Yes, yes.
My lock, first time in 40 some odd years, 77 matchups. Give me the Vanderbilt Commodores favored in a top 10 matchup, minus the 2.5.
Right.
They take down the fraudulent LSU Tigers. Diego Pavia proves his supremacy over Garrett Nussmeier. No, this is simply a situation where LSU's offense is not fixed. Vanderbilt is about to show on a national stage they are the real deal. They're going to cash this season future, and they're going to hopefully be on their way to cashing another one, which is the 12-1 college football playoff spot that we gave out a few weeks ago. All right, what is your money line dog for this week?
Yeah, I can't trust Dylan Raiola on the road in Minnesota. Being at home on a short week, give me the Minnesota Golden Gophers to get a big win there at home on Friday night.
Row the boat, baby. I like
Plus
it. Yeah, I
250.
think.
Let's go.
Yeah, you fake ass Patrick Mahomes. I don't think he's ready to be the dude week to week. Let's wait for some of those interceptions to come home. Love
That's
a
right.
Minnesota defensive touchdown in this one. All right, my dog of the week. I try to tell you, hey, you said you're just being biased, picking against your team's rivals. When I picked
Right.
on Florida State and cashed a plus 330, well, now I'm picking on the Georgia Bulldogs, and we're gonna cash a plus 220. Give me the Ole Miss Rebels. Lane Kiffin, he's gonna get this done, and then before he heads out to Gainesville, he's gonna make sure that he lets all the Florida fans know that he can beat
Mm,
the Georgia Bulldogs. This Georgia team is not the same team we've seen under Kirby Smart the past couple of years. Trinidad Chambliss, the FCS Ferris State quarterback, is going to defeat that 5-star lame Gunnar Stockton. Man, I'm excited for this one. I think they get it done between the hedges. This is going to be where Ole Miss shows they are the real deal, and Georgia's a bit fraudulent. All right, what's your tease?
So I'll go ahead and tease that Georgia Ole Miss game. So give me Georgia minus 1.5.
Bad pick.
I'll take my lock and tease that down to minus 2.5. Why not? And then I'll take my dog as well and go ahead and bump that up to 14.5. I don't think Minnesota has anything to worry about, but why not?
As your co-host, I will always root
Go
for your
over.
plays, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, it looks like a 2 out of 3 legs there. But yeah, go ahead. Okay, yep, that is your tease, and then for my tease, I'm on you with Minnesota. Minnesota plus
Okay.
14.5,
Yeah.
Vanderbilt plus 3.5, and Washington plus 12,
I
plus
like that.
140. I don't think Nebraska can separate. They haven't done it all year against a solid team. Neither can Michigan, and I do not see Vanderbilt losing this game. I have a parlay for this week because I felt like being a little bit degenerate. Derek is
Okay.
taking the more reliable standpoint for the show, and the more logical and responsible, should I say.
That's right.
Give
Better
me
response.
your dog, the Minnesota Golden Gophers,
Okay.
and the Washington Huskies. A new Big
Ooh.
Ten friendship here being built because they're both going to win
Okay.
on the money line. We're going to get Minnesota Friday night taking down a fraudulent Nebraska Cornhuskers
Little
team.
Big Ten West money line dog parlay.
There
I
you go.
like
Big
it.
Ten
I
West
like it.
West. Yes, the westward
West and West West.
expansion.
Yeah.
Yes, the westward expansion parlay. Minnesota, Washington on the money line plus 880 there. I like both these teams in this spot. Minnesota, the home dog, and Washington, a team that I think has shown that, they were one of our dark horse teams to begin the year. They
Yeah.
were struggling a little bit, and they kind of started to get it going there. So, give me Desmond Williams and that number 6 rushing defense in the country to go into the big house and get this done and cash us out for a nice 9-1 there. All right, let's do a quick recap and then get out of here so we can enjoy some weekday football. We've got for Derek, Professor Locks here. We've got, that's not him, that's me. All right,
There we go.
Notre Dame minus 8.5 at home against USC. Minnesota Friday night dog on the money line plus 250. And then give him Georgia minus 1.5, Notre Dame minus 2.5, and Minnesota plus 14.5 and a 6-point teaser. For myself, give me those Vanderbilt Commodores to show the world they are for real. Minus 2.5, minus 110 over on Bet365. Ole Miss gets it done against Georgia. Screw those hedges. Trinidad Chambliss does not care. He's ready to show the world he's the real deal. Plus 220. And then for my teas, Minnesota plus 14.5, Vandy plus 3.5, Washington plus 12 at a plus 140 6-point teaser. And the parlay, the Big Ten West moneyline dog parlay, Minnesota Golden Gophers and the Washington Huskies for a plus 880. All right, folks, that is it. Week 8 college football. There's only so many more opportunities to get rich off college football. Let's give out and enjoy some winners there. Why don't you tell the people what else we got going on the network?
Yeah, like you said up at the top of the show, make sure we subscribe, make sure we like, make sure we share with a friend, a coworker, family member, all of the things. But tomorrow night we got our NFL show coming off a banger of a week. I believe both of us were 3-1 on our locks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you have your injury report over on IDB Plus for all of us fantasy nerds that just need to know a little bit about what's going on for some of our favorite players on the defensive side of the ball. You talk a little bit of offense as well.
Yep.
Just make sure we got our lineup straight coming into this upcoming week.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we are combined 12-4 on our locks in the past 2 weeks, hitting at an insane rate. We are locked in. So look, you're
That's right.
enjoying the winners we're giving out in college football. Why don't you just come on over and join us for NFL? That show will be released tomorrow on Wednesday night. But of course, every Tuesday night, we are giving you the college football winners early in the week so you can get the best of the number there. Hey, folks, we appreciate everything. You guys have been showing a ton of love for college football. Keep it up. Keep smashing that like button, hitting that subscribe button. This is just the beginning for us, the D Docs here on the DFSG Plus channel. We are very close to getting to that 1,000 mark, which is a huge milestone. So we really appreciate any subscribes there. But all right, I'll stop begging there, and we're going to get on out of here. You know what they say, folks. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the D Docs, we've got your prescription from Professor Locks and Doc here at DFSG Plus, we are out of here.